Welcome to Writers Blockbusters, the show where we treat the final edit of the movie like the script. I'm one of your hosts, Bob Rose, at Thundergrunt Bob on Instagram, and right now, Jimmy's going to introduce himself.
I am Jimmy George. I am a screenwriter and script consultant, and my cat is screaming at me right now. And you can find me at scriptbutcher.com.
Okay, Jamie?
I'm Jamie Nash. I'm a screenwriter. I'm also the author of 3 Save the Cat books. You can look them up. But the most recent is Save the Cat Writes Horror. I'm also a poet. No, I'm not.
I was going to say, wow.
I would believe that if you said
yeah,
it.
totally.
But I'm not. I can't even rhyme very well. So, and not that that's a big poetry thing. Okay, and you could find me at jamienash.net.
All right, and today we're going to talk about Send Help, which is still in theaters. But before we get into our discussion topics, we're going to go around and we're going to say our thoughts about this movie. Let's start with Jamie, since it's a rare experience for you to see a movie in a theater.
It is. I thought the last movie I saw was Barbie, but actually we saw Sinners because of the podcast. So I saw Sinners in the theater. That was the last one I saw. There might even be one other one I saw since then. But it's something where I used to go multiple times a week. I'm sure we've talked about this in the podcast too. And it's gone down to like twice a year or something. And this is maybe once a year last year. Like maybe Sinners was it.
Ooh.
And then Send Help. Send Help won't be it. It was something I thought I definitely go into the movies to see this year. Well, Doomsday I'll probably see in the theaters, but there was something else, something coming out soon. What's coming out soon, Bob? Anything you can think of that's like, that would be something I'd really want to see?
Wuthering Heights.
No.
That's it. That's the one.
That's it. Yeah.
What's the Gore Verbinski one I want to see?
I just saw that the other night. I loved it. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of him.
Yep.
Just I wish he made more stuff. But there was something
We've never
else.
done a Gore Verbinski movie. We should do that.
We didn't do like a Pirates of the Caribbean or anything?
Not yet.
We've never done anything.
Wow, that's surprising.
And that's Terry Rossio and Ted Elliott.
Yep.
Man, that's like a trifecta.
Constantly mentioned, but never done.
I can't believe we didn't do Pirates. So anyway, I actually was like, I wanted to see this in the theater, so I kind of pushed, let's do this one on the podcast. And so I'm gonna talk 2 pieces of this. One was my theater experience, okay, and the other I'll talk the movie. First, I'll say the movie. I love this movie. I didn't even think I was going to like it that much because honestly the premise didn't like totally grab me. I was like, yeah, deserted island and 2 survivors, kind of Misery style. I was like, maybe it'll be good. I was a little worried it was going to be more Simple Plan. Not that I love Simple Plan. I just thought it was going to be the more grounded version of it. I didn't really watch the trailers or anything. So when the concept first happened, I wasn't so sure. But being that it was more Drag Me to Hell, Sam Raimi, I thought that's the feel. I was all in. I just had a great time watching this movie. I really like, probably one of my favorite movies in the last few years. I just really dug it. It didn't overstay its welcome. It was fast. It was fun. It was funny. It was over the top. It was kind of edgy in its own way. Didn't take itself very seriously. I just really liked it. So anyway, that's the movie part. My theater experience. So first of all, I show up and unfortunately nobody was there. It was like me by myself. Okay. And then the next thing that happened, the movie starts and I'm trying to remember what song was she singing in the beginning. It wasn't Blondie, was it, in the beginning? No, it was, I can't remember, whatever song she was singing. And there were titles on the screen with little music notes. And I had accidentally found my way into an open caption screening. Now, keep in mind, I have gone to movies I've probably seen 5,000 movies in theater or something like. If I did the math, that sounds like way too many. But I used to go to the movies 2-3 times a week for most of my life, and I'm not young. So I've seen thousands of movies, right? I've never once accidentally showed up at an open caption screening, and maybe that's because it's a new thing. So for my first few minutes, I actually I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. I didn't know you could. I didn't know they just programmed those during the day, and I sat there for a few minutes, and I was like, should I go tell somebody? Should I read? And it was so distracting. I kind of missed the first 2-3 minutes of the movie. And then, you know, that weird thing where you have to read it and you can't watch the movie. And
Yeah.
I'm reading it and I'm not paying attention to even what I'm reading. And I was even debating at first, I was like, is this some Sam Raimi gag where he wanted us to know
was
that?
in the
Yeah.
movie.
I was so distracted.
Like an Austin Powers gag, you know.
Yeah, I did. I thought maybe there's a method to the madness. And then after it went on, I was like, no, there's no method. And I debated, like, maybe they flipped the switch and they forgot to turn it off. So anyway, that happened. And then I was able to get past that. I was able to whatever. At first, I was worried I couldn't. I was like, I don't think I have the mental strength to not read. And after a while, I just kind of got used to it and I stopped reading. It'd been so long since I used to watch tons of foreign films and subtitles and stuff like that. I don't watch those as much anymore for some reason, like in the last 15 years, where I used to watch them all the time. And then in the end, the big battle scene happens in the end, and it's like, it's getting really good. The lights came on in the theater early, like the trigger, the timer. And I couldn't see it. And I'm like, I go to see one movie a year. And at first, the first 5 minutes is subtitles in the bottom of the screen. The last 10 minutes, the full-on lights come on in the theater while I'm watching the movie. Luckily, in the end, the lights only came on for about a minute to a minute and a half. And it was another one of those, like, I'm like, should I walk out and tell them? And then I'm going to miss the big part of the movie, but I can't really see it. And, you know, so anyway, my theater going experience kind of sucked.
Did you ask for a refund?
I didn't. Oh,
okay.
I was just like, it is what it is.
I think it's funny too, because you saw, if Sinners is the other movie you saw recently,
mm-hmm.
you also had, just like I did, you had somebody steal your seat. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah, that's right.
So the 2 times you've been to the movies have been a mess.
Yes. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. It was all pretty annoying. But overall, I mean, the movie was so good that it overcame those experiences. They're not the worst things to happen. I was at a movie one time where a guy literally turned around, slapped a guy in the face, and everybody just sat down and watched the movie. It was the weirdest thing. Like, it was one of these things, like his girlfriend was talking and the guy was like, hey, shut up, I'm trying to watch the movie. And the one guy turned around, smacked him, said, shut up. And he sat back down. Everybody just shut up. And it was the weirdest thing. Yeah. Like that was a very bad night at the movies. This minor distraction.
Honestly, I could do a whole episode of just talking about theater experiences in my life. Like, I've got really good ones, but I don't want to waste our time.
I grew up going to West.
Not you're wasting our time. I'm just mean, like,
I grew up going to Westview Cinema in Catonsville, my favorite theater.
Right.
And we used to constantly have big rat problems, like literally jumping across my lap at a movie.
Do you remember the rats at Towson Commons?
I never went to Towson Commons.
Oh, they had so many rats. There's so many rats there. Anyway, Jimmy.
I'm gonna try to concentrate. I don't know what's going on, but like both of you keep freezing, and I don't know if it's me that's actually freezing, but
I think it's your connection. We'll keep an eye on it because Jamie's fine. I think it's your connection.
I'm moving for once.
I'm not cutting any of this out either.
No,
it's just staying in.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we'll monitor. It's fine.
So like Jamie, I haven't been frequenting the movies. I think it's like a combo of things for what you just described, and also not that the closed captioning. So what's interesting is I actually, Jamie, did the same thing. I went to a screening, and I love this, right? Like, I actually love this that you know, it stated that it was a special screening, and they were on Wednesdays, and I can't remember what other it was. They have these screenings available, and I love that because I always was curious, like, when people who needed this to enjoy the movie were going to be able to do that. And I've always been curious at how they get to experience the movie. So the same exact thing happened to me, Jamie. I was like, there's the song lyrics are on the screen. What's going on here? And then I was like, oh, wow, there's closed captionings. And I guess what they just said, this little disclaimer before, means that this is a closed captioning screening. Okay. Because it was more an ad for that I saw, rather than like, it didn't appear like it was like, welcome to the closed captioning screening, you know?
Yeah, I don't think there was any warning with mine. You know what? I'm surprised the trailers didn't have it, but I don't think
they didn't.
have it.
They totally didn't, which is also weird. But anyway, I think it's awesome that is available for people.
It must just be a new. I mean, and when I say new, I don't go to the the last 5 years. I haven't seen too many films, as we stated. So maybe it's new for the last 5 years.
Something more on a regular basis. Yeah. So anyway, I had the same thing. Like the first 5 minutes, I was like, I've never been to the movies where like 4 foot tall captions are like there, and like I was trying to keep up, and then I just eased into it, because we watch at home. Like the sound is so bad on so many things now. I watch captions on a regular basis, so I eased into it. So it's weird that both of us experienced that. Like I said, thousands of movies. I've never experienced this before. So I fucking love this movie. Oh my God. I'm kind of bummed. So Bob didn't lead in with this, but like we've been talking about it a bit. Like we used to on the show do a new movie that's like in the movies all the time. Like it wasn't like our new titles would be whatever is new to streaming.
It was pre-COVID.
We were going to the movies, and the next day we were doing a show, and it was like it's a challenge to do it the style that we do it. It's a challenge to do the postmortem, like when you can't pause it and you can't like do your research. Yeah. So I saw this once like 3 days ago. So everything I'm pulling, I'm trying really hard to remember it all. And apologies if there's no accuracy, but I love the movie. The crowd I was with, I saw it at Hollywood Theater in Arbutus, a hidden gem. And there were about 20 people there. So like, a couple weeks after the movie's coming out, there's still 20 people on like a Monday night, and that's freaking awesome. And the crowd loved it, especially the women. That was like my favorite part, like just hearing the women's reactions, and like they were laughing their ass off. Like it got such a huge laugh in the theater when he washed up back on shore after trying to escape, and she pukes on him, and then she pukes on him again. And like the whole theater was laughing their asses off, which was very fun. And then I just carried on in the back even more after that. So there's something cool about permission to laugh at fucked up shit that once one person laughs at it, you're like, I can laugh too. So anyway, I think that we could do an even longer episode than what we're doing. I think the script does all the things we talk about on the show very well, and we're only going to highlight like 8 of them, but like it's a great teaching script, I think.
Awesome. Jamie, are you still there?
Am I still here? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You froze now. You're frozen now.
You're frozen now.
You're frozen too.
Jamie's
Technical
frozen
difficulties.
in a very pensive state. Jamie looks like he's bored by what we're saying.
I'm usually frozen, so there's nothing new about me.
It's fine. I had to ask. Okay. So yeah, I'll go with first. What Jimmy said is that we kind of been spoiled since the pandemic, in that we've mostly done movies that were either on streaming or old. One of those two, and we've always had like that. We've kind of gotten used to having the luxury of just like it's streaming, or we own them. So yeah, we're doing this one. I haven't seen this movie for 2 weeks, so I just want everyone listening to know that, like straight up, I did see it twice, but it's been 2 weeks since the last time I saw it, and I couldn't get to the theater to see it again before this. But obviously I saw it twice. I love the movie. I mean, Sam Raimi is one of my heroes, so I feel like I'm biased almost, just like you guys maybe a bit, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing it with a crowd, I'm sad Jamie didn't get that experience, because the crowd really does react to it, and it's
Yeah.
it's like a good crowd movie. But I think it does several things really well and accomplishes like some really good themes in it, which I don't want to, because we're probably going to get to them. But
Yeah, they'll come up.
like, I think it's more like, at first it seems like it's just being like fun and campy, but really I think it does a lot of really good shit under the surface. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a really fun, solid movie, and I don't know. There's part of me that's just like, Sam Raimi, he still got it. You know what I mean? He
Still
fucking
got it. Oh my
Still
gosh,
got
yeah.
it. Yeah, the hero returns, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, so before we get into the talking points, Jamie, how good is this doing, and who wrote this shit?
Yeah, so it's it's doing pretty well. I think it cost 40 million to make. I think I saw was the budget. I think it was a $40 million budget.
I can look
It's
it up.
Yeah, well, I did. I mean, that's what it said.
That's what it said. Oh, that's what it said.
Yeah, and I'm just making sure I remember it correctly, but I think it was 40. So it made 55 million worldwide, almost 56 in the first 2 weeks. It's only been out 2 weeks, enough to put it at number 2 on the 2026 worldwide box office list.
Damn.
Whoa.
But, I mean, it's only February. So,
February, but
yeah, like here's the list. Number 1. Any ideas what number 1 is? Any guesses?
would Avatar 3 count?
No, that's not
the
on this
last year?
list. Yeah.
Hmm.
The funny
Wicked-
thing is,
Wicked
Lord of the
this year?
Rings is on this list at 19.
Oh shit.
Wicked, no, that's another one from last year. So these are movies that came out this year.
I know it's not Bone Temple, because
It is Bone Temple.
It is Bone
Oh.
Temple did
Yes.
better, but still underperformed.
It's 56 million. So it'll
Oh,
cross. It'll beat. Send Help will be number 1 this week, unless is there anything coming out that'll make more than 56 million this week?
Crime 101 and Wuthering Heights.
Yeah, mate. I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's interesting right now. If you took a snapshot right now and you kind of made some fake article like, our movies lead the day or something, it'd be Bone Temple, Send Help, Mercy, Return to Silent Hill, Greenland 2, Primate, Iron Lung, Shelter, F1, the re-release, and Stray Kids, the Dominate Experience, or your top 10. So
Okay.
there you go. That's your. I'm going to write a think piece with those 10.
This is a weird 10. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it would make a great think piece. So the writers of this are 2 people known as Shannon and Swift, and they're kind of Twitter personalities, I guess X personalities that have been on there forever. They're very nice, friendly, smart, encouraging types that interact with you, and they're really cool. I mean, I'm a big fan of them. I like to interact with them. I like to see what they're writing and talking about. So they're people that when this movie was initially greenlit and announced, I guess more when it was announced than greenlit. It was very exciting. Oh, Sam, you're one of us is working with Sam in the next movie, and it was very exciting when this happened. They're most known for Freddy vs. Jason. Like that was their big breakout.
I love Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
Me too.
And it's interesting because I really view them as very successful screenwriters. They're people I would aspire to have careers like them and work like them. But if you look at their filmography, and I think this is very instructive: Freddy vs. Jason, Friday the 13th, Baywatch, and Send Help.
Oh
So
shit.
it's been almost 10 years since Baywatch, 2017, so 9 years.
And that didn't do great, if I remember.
Yeah, and
I'm not knocking the movie.
Yeah. But 4 movies you've heard of, and how they got Send Help made. I think they're the type of duo that's always active. People know who they are. They're probably doing rewrites. They probably worked on a million things uncredited, knowing, they probably live the life of a Hollywood screenwriter. And they probably, make a good living working on things that, you wouldn't even know they worked on, and things that didn't get made. But so they've had scripts kicking around. Apparently, they had a script kicking around that Sam Raimi really liked that never got made. And then one day they pitched him Send Help. They kind of reworked one of their older ideas as a Sam Raimi idea. Like they kind of adjusted it for him and pitched it to him. And he basically attached to it in the room. He was very excited and he was kind of thrilled. And he was like getting very like animated about it and stuff. And as they pitched it, and he basically said, I want to direct this. I'm going to direct this, by the end. I've still read that it took him like 6 years to make. So whatever that means I assume that means after he attached, just finding the right
Getting
studios,
everything, yeah.
waiting for the actors, all the other things can take forever.
Did you see how it was supposed to be a streaming movie?
I did.
Sam Raimi like refused. He waited like years for this to be released.
I did see that. Yep. So anyway, that's how it came to be. It was a pitch, and it was funny when I was watching it. I wasn't really sure. I didn't remember if it was a pitch or a spec. For some reason in my head, I thought it was a spec. And I was like, what I was really curious about with this movie was if it was a spec. I was like, did Sam Raimi then come in and really Sam Raimi-ize it? Because it seemed like it was so teed up for him, like the character styles and the scenes and all this stuff. And I was like, but then when they said they kind of retooled an old thing and pitched it to him, I was like, okay, because I think there's something to be said for screenwriters. When you're a screenwriter and you have a director and the director has work, I think part of what you need to do is tee up for them what they do best. I think and I think this script does that so well. It was almost hard to imagine anybody else directing this thing.
It feels like Sam Raimi hired someone to write something for him.
It does. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And I think they did that on spec, almost like you write for an actor. They wrote for a director, and it really shows. It really feels that way. So kudos to them for writing such a Sam Raimi script, because I mean, it really is. I was kind of marveling at that the whole time I was watching. I was like, this is the most Sam Raimi script I've ever witnessed, and the fact that this was written by two people, as far as I knew on spec, I was just like kind of marveling over the fact that they did such a great job to kind of know his rhythms and sense of humor and tone and all that stuff. It was just really good.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of the stuff feels like it hits like a sledgehammer, like Raimi likes to do. It
does.
Okay, you want to talk about story before the story?
Yeah, just super quick. So this is the part that I was having trouble paying attention to because the closed captions. But the story before the story was me debating whether or not I should go
to leave.
To leave. That's it. That's the story. No, the story before this. The story before the story. And this is debatable whether this is a horror movie or not. I didn't put this on the list, but my definition of a horror movie, and Save the Cat Writes Horror, is if you think it's horror, it's horror. It's however you define it, that's how you define it. And I don't really care if you don't think this is a horror movie. If you do, if you think this is a psychological thriller or a thriller or whatever.
As a video store manager, I would tell you this would definitely be in the horror section of the video store. And that poster, come on.
Yeah.
Her covered in blood holding a knife. It's like,
Yeah. So in horror movies, and another thing in Save the Cat Writes Horror, I talk about the story before the story, which is really asking the question, what's kind of the independent drama that gets interrupted by the genre movie? So in this case, the plane crash. We're watching a movie that could be, I don't know, it could be something analogous to like a business movie, a weird. I doubt if it would end up being a rom-com, but I've seen weirder rom-coms. Maybe something like Up in the Air or something. I don't know. But then
it's like could have been a rags to riches story in business.
A rags to riches story. It's some other kind of story, or it could have been just about like the politics and battlefield of business. Like it could end up being that where she's trying to prove herself. Kind of like not really, but Devil Wears Prada or something like that, even though
Right.
that has a different thing. Um, and this movie does a really good job of dropping you right into that. And the way I always prescribe for people to do this, as opposed to having what I say the breakfast scene, like it's very easy to just show somebody um, at a breakfast table talking to their family and nothing's really going on. This scene throws us into conflict. It throws us into a hero with a goal, an obstacle in the way. So the hero she's, trying to get the promotion. She's being snubbed for it. It's actually very much like Drag Me to Hell in some ways. Even The Office, there's something about the colors and the tone of it that remind me of the bank in Drag Me to Hell a little bit.
Okay.
And that could even be Shannon and Swift, like Frankensteining together some Sam Raimi stuff. But just like that, she's got a kind of cruel boss who, doesn't doesn't respect her and things like that. But in this case, she deserves respect. And moving into the next section, which is kind of a mix of the setup, is the rooting resume. So I think this movie, and I think it has to because of what's about to transpire and what she's going to become. It does a really good job setting up like her rooting resume. And the rooting resume is it's really, the idea is in your setup, in your first 10 minutes, let's say, in your first maybe 15 minutes of your movie, you have to give us reasons to root for your main character, your protagonist, your hero. And Save the Cat, the notion is they save a cat. So that's one way to do it, is like there's a cute little cat, it gets caught in a fire, she runs in and saves it or something. That would be a version of Save the Cat, and she even has a bird. She doesn't save
Right.
it. But some of the bullet points, and because we didn't rewatch, I couldn't check all the rooting resume things off. So I'm going to kind of do them from memory. You guys can help
Okay.
fill me in.
Yep.
So first one's the most obvious. They're underdogs. She's
Yeah.
she's a massive underdog. They pile injustice on injustice on top of her over and over. She deserves so much better. And her mean new boss
Also,
basically
she's
wants to
socially
fire her.
awkward. Like she can't. So it's not that she's not being respected, like in business. She's also just not like with her peers. She's also an
Yes.
underdog.
Absolutely. So she's kind of an out in some ways. I don't know, a
A
misfit.
loner, outcast.
Yeah, it's kind of a full triumphant feel to it. If it was the drama, would have a full triumphant feel to it. But he basically wants to fire her, and she deserves to be the promotion. Is basically it. So they're underdogs. The next one is they care about someone or something. So she does care about her bird. That's where that comes into play. She does care about that. They try very hard to make their lives better. That's her promotion. It could also be in the Survivor video.
The Survivor dream. Yep.
And they're fun. Now, her fun, I think, is kind of that adorkable kind of.
She's adorable. Absolutely.
A lot of it has to do with casting. A lot of it. I mean, her performance is so amazing. I kind of love her anyway, but then to put her in this movie, I'm just like blown away. But the Survivor thing is fun too. I mean, that shows that she's kind of fun and interesting. We know their struggle. We can relate to that struggle. Like even the tuna fish and stuff like that, and the smell and all that stuff. It's the type of thing.
Her just spending a night in talking to her pet, watching reality TV is pretty relatable.
There are a lot of relatable things in there that we've all suffered kind of or witnessed or something.
Comfortable shoes. It's relatable.
And related to that, we wish we were more like them in some ways. I'm not sure. What do you think? Do you think we wish we were more like her? Maybe not. And that's one of the ones.
Well, Jamie, you have a sub bullet. You have bullets under this in your exercise, and one of them is smartest person in the room.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Definitely.
That's the one.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. They're the best at something as
She's
well.
basically
Yeah.
holding up the whole office with her
The
work.
way it's painted. Yep.
Yeah, the way, yeah.
And they're the best at something also relates to the survivor thing later
Yep.
on.
Right. Yep.
That's
Yep.
the thing. So anyway, there are a whole bunch, and they're just piled on in the first 10 to 15 minutes, and even after they
They
hit the
just
island,
continue. That's
they
one thing that's
continue.
awesome. Yeah.
So this script does a great job of getting us on her side because it knows where it's going, you know. So if this were an unlikable person, maybe we wouldn't take that journey. Maybe it wouldn't be a fun movie. Maybe it would be a cold movie because it would just be two people we hate on an island together, you know. But this movie knows that it really has to sell us and sit on her.
Right.
We have to love her, and that way we'll kind of root for her doing the bad things she does later on, and we'll
And
kind of be on
obviously,
board with it.
we're not going to, we could do a reverse reading resume for Dylan O'Brien's character.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Easily.
Easily.
And they really don't give you anything to like about him for a really long time.
Yeah. That's one of
they
those things. That's one of the things I love about the movie. I'll talk
Me
about it
too.
later.
Yeah, they just keep piling on and piling on, and it's kind of, you kind of like him in a How Horrible He Is way, because this is a Raimi film that's stylized.
Yeah.
So it's not
You
like
can-
the normal person you hate. You can
You kind of
enjoy
relish
hating.
in the fun of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's kind of, in its own way, it's cartoony. You know,
Yeah.
it's
He's
like,
very mustache twirling. Yes.
no, I have noticed something this week. This is a new thing I'm calling out. The boss who putts in his office I've seen it 4 times this week from bad guys. Like in the last week, I've seen it 4
It's
times.
a trope.
It is.
It's a
So that's
total
my
trope.
That's my new one. I'm starting to tally. I'm starting to tally. The
Honestly,
putting,
Jamie,
yeah.
when I saw that, I was like, I wonder how old the writers are, because I was like, that feels like a 90s bad guy thing to do.
yeah.
Like
It's
they finally got to do it.
They finally did it. Yeah, they finally did the thing.
I thought in my head, my rewrite would have been, he would have been practicing pickleball against the wall.
No, but they make the golf matter, though. Ultimately,
Yeah.
the golf has a setup
It
and
does.
payoff. Yeah.
But if you wanted to modernize it, it's like he like turns on a screen, he starts playing a Wii or some kind of equivalent.
That's hilarious. That
You know what
would
I
be
mean?
funny. The rich kid
Starts playing Call of Duty while he's talking to her.
Yes.
Something weird like that.
Yeah. But I kind of thought the same thing. But then I saw it 4 more times this week, and I was like, okay. Or 3 more times. 4 total. I'm on 4 in the last 2 weeks. I've seen it. So.
People still like golf. It's not.
Oh
it's not
yeah,
that
totally.
great.
I mean,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next topic that's listed, I feel like you inspired me, Jamie, to pull up another one that I didn't put on there because I think it's just perfect.
Okay.
Which is the things that need fixing to bounce off your rooting resume.
Yeah.
So, because like one thing that stood out to me, and again, we're all trying to recall the movie, like after watching the movie. Anyway, one thing that stood out to me, you're reminding me, is the things that need fixing are so like strong and instructive in that first 10-15 minutes. So I figured I'd just go through them. I just pulled this up here and we can read it just like we did with your rooting resume, just fly by the seat of our pants here. So the things that need fixing, you want to set up what they are, and I'll go through them, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look them up. Do you have the
I have them, but like, where does this come from? It's another Save the Cat thing, right?
Yeah, it is. So it comes from the first Save the Cat book, and you know what's funny about it? I didn't really remember the things that need fixing from the Save the Cat book until many years later. And I started to see it come up in various spots. And I had to go back in the book because it's kind of like one of these hidden gems that he kind of ignores. But the things that need fixing are essentially, and I remembered the term because he basically said in the setup, so in your first 10 pages, you need to establish the things that need fixing. And essentially the way I pitch that is, if your hero has a character arc, they have a flaw, somehow that flaw is kind of making a mess of their life. And he uses the thing called it's kind of like their status quo is bad. Stasis equals death.
Stasis equals death. Yes.
And it's funny. I remembered stasis equals death and things that need fixing. What I didn't remember until many years later, like 10 years later, I went back, is he had a list of common things that need fixing. And I think that's what you're about to go through.
Yeah. So let's go through them and see how this tracks. So what we've done this over and over again in classic movies, arc plot Hollywood cheeseburger, which is like what we do mostly on this show. But we've also shown this in mini plots and weird ones too. So it's not exclusive to the Hollywood movie. But we found them over and over again in great characters like Rocky, Luke Skywalker, et cetera, et cetera. And typically they all have all of these things. And then what the story does is it uses these things to like track the character's progression, or if it's a tragedy, regression, like decline away from these things. So I'll go through them. So the first one is changes in attractiveness, false beliefs, or their personality. And I definitely think the attractiveness thing and personality they kind of like play with, you know what I mean? She's adorable, but nobody respects.
No one wants to even invite her to her face.
Yes. And I love how that later he starts laughing at her jokes, which I thought was like a fascinating, and like I think he's legit laughing at her jokes amidst the manipulation. But okay, so that one tracks. Okay, the second one, strained personal relationships. I mean,
she arguably doesn't have
any, except for her bird.
Except for a bird, yeah.
So number 2, that tracks. Number 3, not being entrusted with responsibility or not being able to handle responsibility.
It's the movie.
I mean,
yeah,
like
100%, yeah.
Yeah. Number 4, being invisible to key people or seeking invisibility. I mean,
well, she's definitely not seeking, but she is invisible.
She's invisible.
Yeah.
She's invisible. And number 5, others don't believe in you or you've given up on yourself. So, I mean, all 5 of these are so strong and so measurable. And
wow,
they really,
that's great.
Yeah. So it's like a nice companion to your rooting resume, Jamie. This movie does both of those things in the first act so well.
And you know, I've said this probably before in the podcast. I know I've said it like when I'm on other podcasts and get interviewed or something. I think the setup is like after you become, you know, a finisher and you've finished like 10, 20, 30 screenplays or something, or even 5. I always say that the setup is the hardest part because you have to do the rooting resume. And I think all these things are must-haves. I think you have to do the rooting resume. I think you have to do the things that need fixing. And in my opinion, you have to do a story before the story. It's the story before the story isn't like a must-have for movies. I think it's a must-have for spec screenplays because I think you have to throw them in, and you have to do that all in 10 pages, and make it really fun and sing. And I always say for me that 10 pages is always the hardest to fit all that stuff in a 10-page bag. Is always very hard to do. And sometimes it's less than 10 pages if you're doing like an opening scare or some kind of, you know, cold open.
Or an ensemble, you got to do a mini version of this for each character, right?
Yeah, And obviously, you know, you could take 12 pages or 13, but I'm usually trying to get us in fast and, you know, keep the page count fast and the reader moving and all that stuff. It's really hard to do all that stuff at 10 pages. This movie does a great job of doing that.
It's well, let's talk about why them.
Yeah. Okay. So this is kind of a new one that's branching off of an old technique we've talked about a lot, which is the why here, why now. Jamie, did it come from David Mamet? Am I getting that right? The why now?
Yeah, that was his kind of his memo to whatever cop show he was working on at the time.
I think it was a military show, but
I think I always say it's a cop show, but I think it was called The Unit.
The Unit. Yes, he put a memo out that basically is like trying to make his writers create built-in urgency.
So the sad thing is, people that listen to almost 150 of our podcasts, right? We probably had this discussion and I call it a cop show. And then you say, I think it was a military show. And then I say it was The Unit. I probably said that like on a dozen podcasts. I still haven't.
Has Jimmy said, "Oh, that was right"? Like
Yeah.
I'm
Jimmy
sure
remembered it on a dozen podcasts.
I still haven't learned the lesson. Like after,
Well, and I always forget when we get to it. Like
Yeah.
some of these things, I just keep ready for Jamie because he's the encyclopedia.
people are listening and they're
Right.
probably like, he still doesn't know it's still a compliment.
But anyway, so
I assure you, that's like at least 3 people at most.
No,
Come on,
hundreds.
hundreds. Yeah,
they're gonna message you after the show.
they're listening enough to know that that's coming.
I've gotten hate mail from unit fans at my house.
From the unit fans.
It's one of those things where the porn version has the same name.
Unit Nation hates me.
The unit.
The units. I don't know.
Okay, well, back to
a uniter.
So this is something that, so what I started to, once I learned about that, and I think I learned about that early on in the show. I was only a couple years into being a full-time script consultant when we started the show.
Jimmy was 12 years old.
I was 12 years old. That's how long we've been doing the show. So that kind of worked its way into as a regular litmus test in my consultations, and it really became a great tool to help my clients when their concepts weren't working, make their concepts work if they started to ask themselves these questions. And that is, why does your story have to happen here in this specific space, in this specific location, and no other in the story world? And why does your story have to happen now at this specific time in your character's life, as opposed to any time before or any time after? In the story world timeline, the why now needs to be so specific that it couldn't happen any other time. And if you can answer those questions with very specific, unique answers, it creates this pressure cooker of built-in urgency with your premise. And this is a great example of the why here is the plane crash, right? The island on a business trip that she's brought on that he doesn't even want to bring her on, that he's planning to fire her after he uses her, so it's so specific. And then the why now is like, she's been working her ass off her whole life for this promotion, this VP promotion for a different man who died.
And she's just found out she's not going to get it.
And she's just found out she's not get it. So it's so specific in the timeline of our character's life that she's just primed for this transformation into the monster that the story is about to put her through, Right. And so I think that's very instructive. If you can ask yourself, what's your version of these questions, you can learn from it. But what I've started to do that we've never talked about on the show, or I actually think we talked about it a little bit in Uncle Buck, but anyway, is why them? I've started to extend this exercise to, why does this story have to be, why them? Why these characters? And I think this is a great example that, like, in lesser qualified hands, these would just be a boss and an employee. But they went the extra mile. They made the employee a woman who's a survivalist, a survivor enthusiast, and she's been like waiting her whole life for this scenario. It's a dream scenario for her. It's a wish fulfillment scenario, but she's also disrespected at work and like not paid attention to. And then we have the silver spoon man boy who has never had to work for anything in his life, and like when we meet him, he hates seafood. Like he's like he's and then later, about 10 minutes after the crash, he literally says this, I'd rather be anywhere else in the world. So this is his nightmare fuel, right? So we have
he's
one
spoon fed, he's a man of society.
Yeah.
he's getting married. He's getting married too. It's like he just doesn't want to be there just because he hates her.
No,
he's actually like away from
He's
Yeah.
away from all the things that make him
Him.
perceptively great to himself.
Right.
So he's perfect. He's very specifically crafted
Yeah.
for this to be his unique nightmare.
It's his own personal hell.
It's his own personal hell, and for her, it's her wish, right? It's her heaven. And that contrast.
And they use that later on
Yes.
as the movie goes. Right.
So I think if you're out there and you're writing, you this is a great example to learn from these questions. You got to ask yourself when you're coming up with the concept, like, why does my story have to happen here and nowhere else? And if it could happen somewhere else, how can you tweak it so it could only happen here? And why does my story have to happen now? And if you could tweak it, if it could happen at another time in your character's life, then you need to tweak the parameters so that it could only happen now. And then why them, right? So yeah.
I do a lot of consultations that are just like Zooms. Like people will be like, I have an idea, I just need to brainstorm it, and they pay me and we talk, right? And one of the things I found recently that come up a lot, and it kind of relates to this. I don't know that it specifically relates to this movie or what I'm about to say, but it relates to the topic. Is their log lines, because they're really pitching me log lines or ideas. They'll be like, I have the CEO and he becomes a mermaid, or something. And I'll be like, okay, well, I don't know. And a lot of the problem is unifying ideas. Like CEO and mermaid don't have anything to do with each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. Like you could almost see a pitch where, absent all the other cool stuff, it's like a Survivor super fan crashes and ends up on a desert island. And there's so many places you can go with that, a deserted island. And there's so many places you can go with that, but it's unifying idea as opposed to just like, a billionaire, a professor, and an actress end up on it. Oh wait, that was a stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I'm pitched those kind of things, and it's just like this and this, and then but it really needs it's not quite this therefore this, but it kind of is that. It's kind of like the two ideas go great together. They feed off of each other. Sometimes through the thing you're going to talk about later, tensity or something, they're converging ideas, they're opposite, they're fighting ideas, there's conflict in the ideas. And sometimes because there's momentum in the ideas. And I think this is a good case of how your story has to have that through and through, but also your concept kind of needs that as well.
Yeah, Jamie, what you're speaking to, I didn't put it on the talking points, but you're kind of answering something that I was circling around, which is like the Deadline article that announced this project called it Misery Meets Castaway.
Right.
And while that DNA is there, that is missing what you just said, the unifying idea, which is the office drama, the story before the story, that sort of takes Misery Meets Castaway and makes it unique and special this way. You know what I mean?
The weird thing about that, though, is the Misery Meets Castaway is it is kind of cool, though, because it almost tells a story, because you're like,
yeah, no, it does.
You realize why misery is. Yeah, you're realizing why misery is happening. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but like Misery has nothing to do with the office drama. And neither does Castaway. So it's missing that third.
And to go off on another weird topic based on that, this is really a yes and podcast today. We're just doing Second City all the way.
Yes and.
I used to do a you and I have talked about how I used to do a brainstorming thing where I would put like I would make a spreadsheet, and up across the top I would write 10 movies or something.
Secret sauce, dude. I have I need it.
Yeah. And then down the other side I might put movies or books or genres or whatever. But usually it was movies. So I'd end up with Castaway Meets Misery, And what I always tell people when I teach this, because sometimes when I teach brainstorming or something, I teach them this and I show them my actual chart. I came up with all these concepts. You can see the age by the chart I show them. It's like, what about Bob meets ET or something like that, right? And I was like, ET comes back and he's kind of an asshole and he won't leave the house, or something like that.
I want to see that movie.
Yeah, and I had like Ghostbusters meets Clash of the Titans, and you can kind of see where that would go, right? It would kind of like they open up Pandora's box and Medusa and all these creatures come out, and or whatever. So, but what I used to say was, there's all these different like things, and the place William Martell used to have this breakdown of like the elements of story, and it'd be like location, characters, time setting, this and that. And the interesting thing about the this meets this, and again, this is going on a total riff, but I'm just yes-ending. The interesting thing about this meets this, what I realized was I was playing a game where I'm picking from that list in Misery, and I'm picking from the list in Castaway, and I'm picking some things and ignoring the others.
Yep.
But it's totally arbitrary what I get to pick. So in this case, I'm picking the plot of Misery in some ways, or the conflict
of
the conflict, and then the location of Castaway.
But there are other really ways not like Castaway.
But then there's a lot of the same beats. We get the exciting about making fire, but her perspective. God, this is really a yes and, because there's another one I didn't put on here that's one of Jamie's great tips that this movie made me think about when I was thinking about Castaway and Misery. I was thinking about the pitch. Is Jamie, you have this great tip, which is, if you want to make something that we've seen over and over again fresh, you change the POV. We've seen crashed on a deserted island over and over
and not know what to do.
Yeah, and we've seen one character holds another character captive over and over. And this, I think, it takes that tip that you have, that technique you have, you change the POV, and that choice to make her the POV character is what is the engine for everything, right? To make everything. Yes.
So much so that simple yes ending once again. That simple idea is like a lot of times you'll be on social media or something, and somebody will say, a movie exactly like mine just came out or just was announced in deadline. What should I do? Should I sue them? Should I send my people are always like, should
whenever I see this, I'm like, are you kidding me? You're gonna sue that? Like, come on.
There's should I sue them is usually the first reaction. The second reaction is always, should I send them my script? Like Sam Raimi and all were sitting there and they were like, oh wait, somebody else did send help. Guys, you're
did you see
fired.
Someone say it about this movie?
No. But I see this all the time. It's a very common, and I've gone through it. I've gone through the same thing. And in my early days, I probably was like, I need to send them the script because Ben Stiller won't know how to write that comedy that I have on my,
right.
like he has a $200 million or $200,000 contract to write the script, but instead he'll just buy mine and he'll take no money. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, where was I even going?
You were talking about the POV change.
Yeah. So, but that's one of the saving graces, because then everybody kind of comforts, have you read the script yet? A lot of times they do panic. It's like, mine's on an island, theirs is on an island. I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
First of all, yours probably won't come out for another 15 years anyway, so nobody will care. But secondly, the POV change sometimes is enough to make it totally different.
Yeah,
totally
exactly.
Different.
So anyway, we added a few techniques onto this topic list on the fly. I love it.
Yeah, it works. We're following Annie Wilkes instead of James Caan, right? Yeah,
that's right.
Okay, well, I mean, I feel like that kind of does lead into Tensity a bit.
Absolutely.
Right?
So we've been talking about this a lot, so I don't want to go over it in depth. We just did it on the Wizard of Oz episode, so if you haven't heard that, go check that out. And we did it, the one we did it most intensely is on the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer episode. So if you like this and you want to learn more, those two episodes specifically, we go exhaustively. But as a refresher, Jamie, you want to just set it up and I'll go? Yeah.
And I'll just give you the definition today.
Yep.
So you can check out the other ones. Tensity is this thing we found on a website that we're always plugging, and I should reach out to this person one day and say, hey,
Thea Cook is her name. Thea Cook is her name.
And her website is called Theoretical, theoretical.com. And she has this great article about tensity, which is a concept in marketing. And just the definition that she has up front, it's in bold. Brand tensity is the convergence of two or more contradictory forces resulting in excitement, anticipation, and a palpable energy. And kind of the idea here is that you can kind of come up with these little hooks or handles to describe a character, a location, a concept. And usually it's like a two opposing forces kind of word kind of thing, which I think Jimmy has some examples of.
Yeah, and so most recently we found the best one to learn from
ever.
On the Wizard of Oz, which is the Cowardly Lion.
Right.
It's in the name. That's
It's
the concept. Yes. And then some of the more famous ones we did on the show in the past was Han Solo is a reliable rogue. Beetlejuice is a charismatic creep. And in Logan, there's a quote from the movie. The Logan version of Charles Xavier, he has a degenerative brain disease in the world's most dangerous brain. So that's the tensity right there. We've also discovered that like it isn't one size fits all for how you execute this satisfyingly, right? Some characters arc out of tensity and they become less interesting. Like Good Will Hunting becomes boring. And this is why sequels are hard to do. Some characters arc into tensity. So by the end of the story, they have tensity where they had no tensity before. They were a one-note character. And through the story, they became a very complex character. Like Bumble and Rudolph goes from fierce monster to gentle monster. And then some tragic characters arc from tensity into a one-dimensional character. So there's no one size fits all. Now, what stuck out to me when watching this movie was this movie does something completely different than we've ever talked about so far, which is when we meet them, they have no tensity. They are one-note characters. She's like the meek office worker, and he's like the asshole boss with like no complexity whatsoever.
He's
and
the
it
alpha
isn't
male.
until yes. And it isn't until the plane crash, the concepts kicks in, the premise, the lock-in creates the tensity. All of a sudden, he's a helpless authority figure, right? And she is the subordinate. She's his subordinate, but she's the guardian, the power.
The powerful guardian. Right?
Yeah, the powerful
subordinate.
Powerful subordinate. That's perfect, Bob. Powerful subordinate and helpless authority. But what's even cooler, and this speaks to what's on Jamie's list next, is there's another shift.
Right.
Later in the movie, she goes from powerful subordinate to a nurturing captor. She becomes Annie Wilkes. Like she is like feeding him and taking care of him and making sure he's okay and teaching him how to do things. And all the while she's holding him prisoner. So there's that tensity there, but that wasn't who she was before the island. So I just think this is really interesting that, hey, like this, there's another version of this one size fits all, doesn't fit all, right? Like you can have a character that starts with no tensity and the premise adds all the tensity to the character. So it's just interesting. And you can have a character that has like multiple like tensities changes throughout the story. So this is just really eye-opening to me, since this is kind of something we haven't talked about this concept, this technique very much, like I think like 6 times on the show ever. So it's cool. It was fun.
It's also, I think it's also why the movie stands out, I think, completely.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on that, I wanted to talk kind of briefly about the really unique thing, like you said, why this movie stands out. And in Save the Cat Writes for Her, I have this section called a hero switch and a heel turn, and they're two different things that tend to appear more often in horror movies, and maybe whatever you want to call this, a thriller or whatever, but they tend to happen more in horror movies than I can't say I've seen these. I'd be interested if anybody knows of like a drama that does this, or even an action movie for that matter. But the hero switch is almost like Psycho. It
Right.
tends to be a shock, like let's kill off, the person we think's a hero, and then replace it with somebody else.
False
That
protagonist, yeah.
false protagonist. It's almost like a trick.
Executive decision.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes it even does it in a thing like Barbarian, where
Right.
it kind of switches stories in a jarring way and starts over or something. And it kind of like messes with your brain a little bit of what you're watching or what story you're watching. So anyway, that's the hero switch. The heel turn, on the other hand, is what I really find a lot in horror movies. And you see it a lot in let's say werewolf movies or possession movies or things like that, where, in the Amityville Horror, you might be following the father, but then in the end, he's the monster, right?
Mhm.
He kind of becomes the monster. The Shining is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And it's a kind of common thing. The Fly, it happens.
Yeah, that's a great example.
And they're really interesting ones. Usually what happens is these characters are flawed, and the flaw becomes the monster or begins
Yes.
the monster.
Right.
So the flaw just increases and increases.
Which fits here.
It fits. It
Right,
fits.
it does.
So her flaw just grows and grows and grows until she's all in as the monster in some ways. Now, the weird thing this movie does is while she's all in with the monster, we're still kind of rooting for her. Where
Yes.
there's other characters, like we're not rooting for Jack necessarily.
No.
Right.
In The
Right.
Shining or The Fly. We're not rooting.
We don't want him
Fly.
to eat Gina Davis.
Yeah. We're not
Right.
like, yeah, kill her. Yeah, no, not at all. So it's interesting. And there are probably other movies that more subtly do this, like Prisoners.
Mhm.
Where,
Right. Yeah.
and it's kind of where, they kidnap the prisoners, they kidnap the kidnapper, I guess, or the person suspected of it, and they start to almost torture them. And we almost fear what this good person is becoming because of the horror. Like the horror has turned this good person into something. In this movie, we don't fear that much. I think we kind of enjoy it. I think they do such a good job of putting us on her side that by the end, when she's on the golf course driving off, we're like, oh yeah, we're not.
As people said, it's a new entry in the good for her genre.
It's
of
interesting.
movies.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how
There's
they
some
pull that off.
cinematic justice there.
There is.
There's
There
a sense
is.
of cinema justice. Yeah.
And if you looked at it straightforwardly, like in real life, it wouldn't play out the same. But in the tone,
No, but the
tone
cinema
of the
justice.
movie, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that.
Right.
There's that code and moral code in movies where like cinema
well-
justice allows for worse things to happen than real.
Then yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that what would be sort of useful with that, and because this is a Sam Raimi movie, is we brought these up before. I bring them up in my book. Sam Raimi's rules of horror.
Right.
Number one, the innocent must suffer. Okay,
Oh.
that's number one.
Yep,
Okay.
there it is.
2, the guilty must be punished.
Well,
Okay?
first, who the innocent must suffer. You could easily point to the boat captain and the fiance.
Yes.
Yeah,
Aw.
but also her. I mean,
Her.
I think
Yeah.
she's
She suffered
suffering,
in the beginning.
and,
sure.
Yeah,
and there are
she
various
suffered.
things she suffered. But here's another one that I think is key to this movie: the hero must taste blood to become a man.
Right. Well, yeah.
And
Or
she
Borg.
literally tastes blood,
Yeah.
throughout. She is a trial by fire and kind of arcs into this new person
Right.
because she's tasted blood.
Tasted blood.
She got
Yeah.
primal. She got her hands dirty and got primal. And it's kind of amazing when you put those up in this movie. This is like the most Sam Raimi of Sam Raimi movies
Because
but I think what happens with the heel turn is the guilty must be punished. I think what happens is in a lot of movies, the hero, or I'm sorry, the villain in this case, the person that's going to become the victim later on.
you mean the villain?
Yeah, the villain essentially. When the heel turn happens, he continues to double down on why he needs to be punished. He keeps
Right.
doing horrible things. So he never arcs. He never learns. Sometimes it feels like he arcs, but it's more manipulative.
He even has a false confessional.
Yeah,
like
he's a false.
It's an
he- no, he-
insincere
lies.
confessional.
No,
yeah.
wait. Let's get this straight. He is never truly in.
Right.
Anything he said is a lie. It's
Right.
all, even at the end, it's all a lie.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's very almost mathematical that's happening. Like no matter that, it's playing with some things. Like, here's the other funny thing. A Simple Plan played with these ideas. It was another movie where a person started to do bad things. The hero starts to do bad things, and you start to wonder, is Billy Bob the bad guy, or is
Right.
you start wondering, like, who's the bad guy here anymore? Like, which ones of these characters? This movie plays with that, but doesn't. That's the difference between a movie like A Simple Plan or even a movie like War of the Roses, where you're kind of like, who's the bad? They're kind of both bad. They're kind of playing. This movie, that guy is horrible from beginning to end, even if he pretends to be good in some ways.
Object on one point.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think that the movie does a really obvious job of kind of like when his fiance shows up in the beginning. The instant thought I had, that you guys probably had, was she's a vanity, it's a vanity relationship that says, just like the rest of his life, it's hollow, it doesn't mean anything. But the movie does do us the one service of showing this guy is not completely devoid of a human soul.
Yeah.
He loved her and she truly loved him.
Yeah.
There was a distinct effort to show that this guy and his wife did truly love each other. It wasn't just because they're both beautiful, rich people. She went out of her fucking way to find him. And and when he screams that she's dead, that's not because it's not just because he's stuck there. It is because his fiance is dead.
Yeah, and he's like drooling in agony, in anguish. Yeah,
that's like the one lifeline it has in the movie to say, no, this guy's a human being still. He is a human being.
But when it comes to his treatment of Linda,
it's awful.
He never stops.
Never stops. But I just wanted to say that because it's important. I think it's important to the movie.
Right.
It makes it, because otherwise it's just you're killing this like minion of evil. You know what I mean?
I think in their case, it's almost like watching influencers who have, like they might love somebody, but you're still like, they're an influencer. You know what I mean? They're like
a little bit,
like
yeah. They're still human beings, but they're an influencer, yeah.
Because like her, as kind of innocent and goofy as the fiance is, there's something, different about like social wise, like, or something, or looking down upon things. And him, he's womanizing a woman before. So even though it's his fiance, he's
I'm not forgiving any of that. I'm not forgiving that.
So it's kind of like has an asterisk by it, and even though
I'm just saying I was surprised that I felt like, he cares.
No, that made him more. They added how we talk about sometimes this rooting resume, it continues throughout the movie, and for them they gave him the abusive backstory about his parents abusing, whether that's true or not, and during the campfire scene, that adds some depth to him that wasn't there before. And
I think there's a lesser version of this movie out in the multiverse where it doesn't have her lying to him about the inhabited island.
Yep.
And it's just about the misogyny and sexual politics of the office.
Yep.
And then eventually you have some scenario where what's his name? Jack or Jake? I forget his character name, where he ends up murdering his fiance too to get off the island. Bradley. I forgot his character name.
Yeah.
He ends up murdering his own fiance to get away from her or something.
Yeah.
There's a different version of this movie that I assumed before we saw the boat going by. Before that moment, I assumed a completely different second half.
That was the movie I was worried this might be.
I was worried too. I was like, it's too obvious.
I was like, oh, that's going to be kind of boring. And Gus Van Sant would have directed it, or somebody, or Steven Soderbergh or somebody.
Just throw Gus Van Sant under the bus.
I mean,
Hey man, we just talked about Good Will Hunting as a positive.
I think it'll be an entertaining movie. It'd just be a different movie that I wouldn't like.
It wouldn't be dynamic and kind of.
I would have gone home feeling depressed as opposed to happy that I just watched in a big riot.
Also would be a Sam Raimi choice.
Yeah, it's the one scene that also really switches this on its head though is the castration scene.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how I feel. Like part of me almost wanted them to go there. I was like, oh my God, they're really doing it. They're doing it. It's real. This is really happening, you know? And, but you didn't want, you did, that's like the one spot where I guess they just took it so far that you did almost, I fear for him in some ways. Like you didn't, you were meant to be like, oh my God, she's doing this. She's really, because
they're doing it. She's doing to him what they're doing to us.
Yes.
They're letting us know that
this
she's
is in my
going
talking points later. Yeah.
She's going to become exactly what she just threatened.
Yeah.
That's right.
She will go that far if pushed.
Yep.
Yep. But yeah, but anyway, heel turn. That's your heel turn in this movie.
Good,
and
man. I love
interesting
this.
one. Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever done this, but what is whammos?
We've
done
it.
Have we done it? I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So Whammo was a toy company in the 1980s, but that's not what this is.
I know.
Was it Frisbees? Did Whammo make Frisbees? Yeah. Okay. That's not what this is.
It makes me think of Summer Rental when the Frisbee gets under the woman's making out with the dude. And John Candy's like, your wife's on my Whammo.
Yeah, right. So Whammos are it's an idea Joel Silver came up with in the 80s and 90s. And he would have his writers, they'd come in his office and he'd be like, your story needs a whammo every 10 minutes, or something. Every 8 to 10 minutes, you need a whammo. You need a whammo. And you could almost see Sam Raimi being that guy. You need a whammo every 10 minutes.
Well, he comes from that era,
he's also kind of the king of that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and
a little bit.
And while I've never met Sam Raimi or anything, I've had scripts with his development execs and stuff, and they told me, so Sam has a very strict structure in his stories. They didn't call them whammos, but they said he needs a major scare every 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
And every 10 minutes it has to happen. I think it was whammos, essentially.
It's a horror whammo, yep.
It's a horror whammo. And in this movie, I think they're more like whammos than horror movie beats because there's other things that happen. And just off the top of my head, I kind of started to list the whammos. And here's what's funny about it. While I've never subscribed to this philosophy specifically, here's what I do. This is a common thing I do when I write. So I'll write the script and I'll be in revision mode. And at night, I'll be in bed and I can't sleep. And I start counting up the really cool things in my script. I'll be like, oh, there's that kill on page 12. That's 1. Oh, and then there's that twist on page 20. That's 2. And I'll count them. And usually I end up, I kind of am a little bit looser with my whammos. And usually I want to get like 1 every 3 pages or something like that. Now I have a looser version of this. Like these are big ones. Like I might have a good joke in there or something, or a kind of, a 1 minute moment. But whammos in the Joel Silver variety were like the big action moment, and he wanted to hit one of those every 10 minutes. So anyway, but here, and like I said, Sam Raimi, I heard the same thing. I think I heard 8 that he wanted 8 whammos.
Okay.
I don't know why that sticks in my head. I could be wrong about the number.
I love that you had a script in development with Sam Raimi's company.
Cool.
You just casually throw that out there like nothing.
Development
like an hour and 15 minutes into the podcast. By the way.
So in development means a lot of different things. Like I never got paid or anything. These are more like you took the water bottle tour because they read the script and then they gave you notes and then they did it was more like that thing. With Raimi, and that's as far as I've ever gotten with. I remember when I did it though, the development exec, because I'm wearing an Evil Dead 2 shirt right now. So I was like, I have an Evil Dead poster right here, and the only person that hasn't signed it is Sam. And the guy was like, oh, Sam, he'd love to sign it. You should bring it in. And I was totally like, I was trying to get the thing signed and stuff like that. But anyway, I was totally like, more about meeting Sam Raimi was like a dream. I was like, if I could meet Sam Raimi one day. By the way, Ghost House, his production company released Seventh Moon.
Oh shit!
But as a
Oh, yeah.
distributor, they did.
Oh,
So that's tell people what a Seventh Moon is because they might not know.
Oh, Seventh Moon is a movie. It was the second one I did with Eduardo Sanchez with Amy Smart. I don't know where you can watch that one. That's a hard one to find.
It's a very cool movie.
Yeah, Amy Smart's in that one. But yeah, Ghost House distributed. So anyway, back to the whammos. So I started counting the whammos in this movie. Let me see if I can find my list here. I wrote them down super quick. I did this really quick this morning, so I'm probably missing some. Like, honestly, when I do whammos for myself, I count things like the vomiting scene.
Absolutely.
I count those. Like, I didn't count those in this list because I'm not sure that Sam would think that's a big scare or something like that. So I didn't count it. But when I do my list and I get my 1 every 3 minutes, I have things like that. Like, that's what I'm mentally clocking.
Mm-hmm.
So I just super quick. The plane crash, definitely a whammo, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
It has whammos within whammos in that thing. The boar kill, total whammo.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. The boat reveal, in my opinion, the big plot twists are kind of whammos.
Emotional whammo, yep.
They're emotional whammos. And then the fact she hides it and everything else. The fiance arriving, that's a whammo.
Absolutely.
That's a total whammo. The fiance being murdered is kind of a whammo.
Yeah.
The fiance as a zombie is a whammo.
Oh yeah. Would the reveal of his escape raft be a whammo?
The raft,
yes, definitely.
The raft and poisoning sequence, totally a whammo.
Okay.
The castration scene, obviously a whammo. The reveal that he knows, and then the subsequent battle is a whammo. The house reveal in the end's a whammo. And then the epilogue, her on the golf course, is a whammo. So right there you have, I didn't count them, but you have like 10. It's like somewhere between 8 and 10. And there's probably even a couple more. But that's what I mean. Like, I think spec screenwriters really need to up the whammo count. I think they need the 10. And I think that's what I loved about this movie is the Gus Van Sant movie and the Steven Soderbergh movie doesn't have as many whammos.
No.
This one's just throwing them at you. Like, it's just got, from beginning to end, it's just like, oh, I'm going to hit you with another one. I'm going to hit you with another one. They keep coming. And that's
I think dependent on tone, right? If you have a certain tone, it allows you more whammos.
Yeah, well, so the way I look at it,
Soderbergh wouldn't have that.
Well, so the way that I look at, so I do
this would be dramatic whammos.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I meant horror. I meant horror.
Yeah,
specifically.
So the way that the whammo thing, Bob, Jamie didn't really expand, which I'm glad you didn't need to expand, but I'm going to expand on this. So like the thing about this whammos, the Joel Silver anecdote is that in the 90s screenwriting, when Jamie was getting into screenwriting and when I was getting into screenwriting, which is like both around the same time, this was a big thing about the craft. Like, people pointed to this as something you should learn how to do, right? So I've been doing this, Jamie, since the beginning, and I'm like you. I don't do 3 pages. I always felt like 10 was insufficient, and I would do 5 pages. Mm-hmm. I would do a whammo pass,
1 per page.
1 per page. Well, so I used to write like that, and then I got like a lot of feedback from professionals that told me I write like steroids and told me don't do that, But so
in the internet age, though, I think it would work.
Yeah, no, that's true. They're like, you write on steroids, because I was doing whammos every fucking page. But to get around what Bob was just talking about, like with the tone, I like to label this moments of extreme heightened emotion. So that way, if you have a drama, winos, like if you have a drama that's just nothing like that's gonna happen, you still need your whammos, right? What's your like 2 people talking at a table version of this, right?
One reveals that she's pregnant.
Yeah, extreme emotional heightened whammo, right? And you still need 10 of those. Like you still need to take the Joel Silver approach to a drama it's a tool to make sure that you have enough moments of heightened emotion that the audience can't get away from, you know what I
Right.
mean? That just like makes them go through this roller coaster. So I love the Whammos. I think the last time we talked about it, Jamie, was like the Speed episode.
Oh,
Maybe.
we were
Like,
live back
in the
then.
day. Yeah,
Yeah.
back in the day. Because yeah, we haven't done a lot of just straight up
That's
action movies.
Speed and Speed 2, by the way. If you want to
Yes.
go back and listen to that.
I always think of them like fireworks. And
Yep.
I don't like fireworks, so I'll give you my theory on fireworks. But you know when you watch fireworks, you get like they fire one off, and then there's the one that everybody goes, "Woo!" You know, it's the big one, the boom. It's kind of like you have to mix a woo in there every few, because otherwise people are just like, this is redundant. Now, my theory with fireworks, I think they just shoot them all off at once and just be done.
You want the finale.
I just want the coolest thing I ever saw, like the coolest colorful explosion I ever saw. That just like, it's like, what are they doing? Like, it looks like a mistake. And then we just all go home after like a minute. Like, that's what I want from fireworks. At
that point, do you even like fireworks?
I don't like fireworks.
Right. I was gonna say.
But wouldn't it be cool to see them all go off at once?
I mean, it's just an explosion at that point.
This is huge explosion of color. Like, wouldn't that be more? I'd rather see the Death Star explode than the slow drip drab.
Sure. No, I don't like fireworks, so I'm with you. I would rather just not see them at all, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're, unless you're Gandalf and it's a dragon.
Yes.
That's it. Like, Gandalf fireworks are nothing.
But we haven't seen them all go off at once. Like, that'd be a cool thing.
Right.
Somebody set that up for me. Just like 30 minutes of fireworks in literally 30 seconds. That's what I want to
I'm sure it's
gotta be on
accident.
YouTube.
Yes. Like, cue the YouTube clip.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Okay. Let's go to premise, pretzels, and repetition.
This is mine. And rather than making Jamie do the pull string,
sure,
I will do it. No, I want to do it. I love hearing Jamie talk about craft. Jamie, you want to explain what a premise pretzel is?
I was excited to hear you say it because I always forget. So yeah, a premise pretzel is really in a nutshell, and then I'll let Jimmy expand on it. It's kind of a setup payoff special case where it's you set something up, you pay it off, and then you pay it off in almost the opposite metaphoric or thematic way. And I'll let Jimmy kind of take it from there. But then you might pay it off from another way that you didn't expect, and then you pay it off again. So it's kind of like a payoff that keeps recurring, but you keep looking at it from a different angle somehow. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like we've come, to put simply, and these are your words, not mine. One setup, many payoffs, right. And it's kind of like a running joke, right? It works the same way, like a joke pretzel, and it's like a whiteboard for just ideas of how many of a single thing and how many ways can you use it in your story. Because a lot of times what Jamie and I deal with newbies who are screenwriting is they have these great ideas and then they only use them once in the story. And what I find myself doing is like, I think you can reuse this again and again and again. And I do that in my own stories. Like, how can I use this one cool thing as many ways as possible rather than filling it with something that is a one-off, And that's part of like the rewrite process, right? How can I take like the best ideas that are in the story and keep repurposing them, in new and surprising ways. And then alongside that, repetition is also a way to use those premise pretzels, but repetition itself is not always the same thing. So repetition of something, create a scenario, a piece of dialogue, creates patterns that the audience recognizes, and that allows you to create deeper meaning every time it's repeated and subvert it. And repetition is like a very easy way to show the audience how a character's scenario is growing and changing or regressing and declining, or how a relationship is growing and changing or regressing and declining. It's like those two things using repetition, we can just like, nothing needs to be said. We can track their progress. So this movie, that was like one of the things that stuck out. And I'm probably going to miss some. So Bob and Jamie, like, add on to this if I
I'm
fucking
literally
miss.
thinking of one, and I can't remember what the frick the.
Oh
You
man,
probably
there's
wrote it down. You
so
probably wrote it
I
down.
wrote down as many as I could remember because so this is the craft, right? So people who are starting out, they don't understand that this is the craft. This is what you do. You make a whiteboard for the penguin's umbrella, you know, and how many different ways am I going to use the penguin's umbrella? Not just once, like 20 different ways we showed. And how am I going to use this one piece of dialogue again and again and make it come back and turn it on its head? You know, those are the things that pro writers do. Everything is a payoff, right? And a payoff again and a payoff again. So I'm going to go down the list. Number one, premise pretzel of Linda's shoes. All the different ways the story uses Linda's shoes. First, it's to mock her. Then it's to show her in power. Like she's shining those shoes while he's sitting there like immobilized. And he's staring at those shoes. But like from her perspective, these are her power boots now, you know?
Yeah.
And they become a symbol of who she is. And then ultimately they become weaponized against him in their final battle. So the knife, right? Like the knife is a constant power struggle. It's constantly used in the story on screen as like, who's going to control the power, right? And they just create scenario after scenario to get that knife center stage or right off screen in the corner and have them looking at it while they're having their talk. And then ultimately it comes back and it's used dramatically, you know? And then Zuri's ring. The ring, when we meet Zuri, his fiance, it's romanticized, right? This huge ring, the screen just blings on the screen, right? And it plants that in our mind as being an important object. And then there's just all these different ways the story uses the ring. It's found on the corpse in the sand.
Yeah.
It's Linda eats it in front of Bradley as her ultimate power move. Fuck you, Bradley.
Right.
So Zuri's ring has a whiteboard, you know, like they sat there and they were like, how many ways can we use this ring? You know, they did the exercise of the premise pretzel. Scenarios, seafood meals, all the way the story plays with how much he fucking hates seafood. And
enough
like
to eat a water bug. Yeah.
Yeah, they made a whiteboard of how many ways are we going to use seafood as a nightmare fuel exercise for Bradley. And like the octopus that like she feeds him that paralyzes him, the fish that she feeds him that he's like he loves it, he gags it.
Uses no, that's berries, never mind.
No, but he does have a fish meal with the berries. Part of the meal.
But the berries are the cause
but it's a seafood meal.
It is a seafood meal, you're right.
And the various wake-ups, the story plays with the wake-up scenario a lot. He wakes up disoriented. What's happening? He's lost the power. She wakes up disoriented. What's happening? She's lost the power. Every single time someone wakes up, they play with, like, who's got the power now that they were while they were vulnerable, you know? Dialogue. How above and beyond are you willing to go for me, right?
There it is.
Yep. Bradley says it to the woman he's interviewing, and then later she uses his shitty line against him to wield power over him, right? And that, again, see, repetition is being used there to show you how the relationship is changing, right? Strategy and planning. It's the line when he misunderstands what her role is, and she corrects him, and it shows that how disrespected she is, and it becomes her final one-liner when she kills him in her final golf swing. So again, repetition being used to show how the character's scenario and relationship is growing and changing. Prove me wrong. Bradley says it condescendingly when in the office, you know, and then later Linda throws it back at him when she's teaching him how to do things and he can't figure it out.
Right.
You know, prove me wrong. And then, so I'm not fired is another repeated line. Like, I'm fired, or like throughout the island scenario. So, I just think that this is a great teaching example for how to use repetition. Now, once again, I only watched it once, so I'm sure I'm missing more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm glad you picked up some. It was that line I was trying to remember. It was the how far are you willing to go?
How far are you willing to go?
Yeah, that's why I was.
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks. The audience contract.
All right, so this is my favorite thing the movie does that I'm excited to talk about. So,
Okay.
So the audience contract is this thing that we've talked about with arc plot cheeseburger story specifically. So the Hollywood cheeseburger story, and that's like you have a contract with your audience that's like, we're going to be aligned with the hero at all times, and when the hero learns something, we learn it. When the hero has an agenda, we know what that agenda is. When the hero feels something, we know what they feel. Whatever the hero is doing, we know what it is. And if we don't know, we learn maybe like one scene later, right? So if they learn something, the story might take a scene or two, but we're going to learn it within like 5 minutes. We're only going to be misaligned with them for a few minutes. So I like to use, to explain this concept, I use the pregnancy test example. In our plot Hollywood cheeseburger story, if your lead character takes a pregnancy test, they learn the results. We learn the results too.
Right.
A audience contract violation is your lead character learns the results, and we go the rest of the movie and we don't know whether they're pregnant or not. So we can't feel authentically what they're feeling. So we have an emotional disconnection because they violated the contract, right? So I use The Matrix as an example because there's a scene in supporting characters. You don't need to know what they're doing or what their agenda is. Like, we don't need to know that it's okay that Bradley has a mystery agenda where he's making the raft. You know he's up to something and you don't know what he's up to. And that's okay because he's the supporting character. He's not the lead. For instance, in The Matrix, Trinity goes into the room and the Oracle tells her something, and we don't see what the Oracle tells her, and Neo doesn't either. And so we only know what Neo knows, and that is the audience contract. If Neo had gone in and talked to the Oracle and we didn't hear what the Oracle told him, that's an audience contract violation. So
Jimmy hates Lost in Translation. Just kidding.
So, but what we've learned through the show when we started breaking this down is that it's like it functions a lot like the one coincidence rule.
Right.
Do you want to explain the one coincidence rule, Jamie?
Yeah, mostly in stories you get one coincidence. So like if somebody's struck by lightning, that's kind of coincidental. You can't have them then get hit by a meteorite and then get bit by a werewolf.
That example.
Yeah.
And you can only do it more if it's funny.
When it's a comedy, coincidence is the engine for it, for all laughs. So it's
So they could get hit with a meteorite if it's funny, and it would be fun. Yeah.
So in an arc plot Hollywood cheeseburger story, the audience forgives one coincidence, right? But when you start having, and then the other thing is, if coincidence gets them into trouble, it's okay. If coincidence gets them out of trouble, it's a cheat and it's emotionally unsatisfying. So anyway, we started breaking this down, and we found like movie after movie that actually made one meaningful audience contract violation. Like for instance, in Scream, in the finale, the entire movie, I figured I'd bring up Scream since the next one's about to come out. The entire movie, we were 100% aligned with Sydney and where Sydney is and what Sydney's doing. And in the finale of the movie, Sydney disappears while Billy and Stu are now the ones being preyed upon. And we don't know where she is, and we don't know what she's doing. It's because she's like now taking the role of the monster. And that audience contract violation is like emotionally satisfying, and it's perfect for the character, and it works because of those things. So anyway,
Godzilla -1.
Godzilla -1, we did that too, where we didn't learn that there was a parachute until after.
Right.
And we talked at length. Godzilla -1 is the episode where we've talked about this the most.
Right.
So I wanted to talk about 3 of them. Jamie mentioned this earlier, the fake castration. That's our first one. We don't know what's actually happening. And I think that's like a really fascinating choice, right? Because they could show us, there's a version of this, if they keep us aligned with her, where we see that she's just stabbing the rat, right? And he doesn't see it. But if you take that away, the scene just it not to be a pun, but it neuters the scene.
It, you know what I don't know what the word for that is, but it almost reminds me of like suspense scene does the opposite, where it shows us a
Right.
little
Yep.
more than the hero knows to make the scene more interesting.
Yep.
You know, that's what it does. And this
Whereas
is kind of
like
the opposite.
yeah, and this is a movie about emotional manipulation, right? Like
Right.
we are not sure what so I think it's fitting. And then the second one is the mansion, you know, of course, she had a hidden agenda this whole time. And I see a lot of people who like this is what they hate on. And that's why I wanted to bring it up. Like this thing is the thing that makes some people not like the movie. And I think it speaks to that audience contract thing that we're talking about.
I think it's also the implications of the mansion. I've seen people criticize this too, because it exists and she's been getting fruit and shit from it. It makes the whole thing of her being so competent a little bit less.
It takes it away a little bit.
Like she's been literally getting shit from there, like the alcohol she made and stuff.
When he's like, oh, it's so good, it's because it was like a bottled.
It was a
process.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it was like from the society he was
right.
yearning for. Yeah, I hear you. Okay,
but I'm not saying that, by the way.
No,
I'm fine with
but
it.
I think this is an interesting example of how it works because of the unique recipe of this movie and this character. I feel like
I think it works because the movie has the balls to see her go through with becoming the monster.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
It didn't do that, then it would feel something would be off.
But it would feel, it's almost like the betrayal of like to us, the lie to us is part of the journey, right? And if you take that away, if we were honest, if she was honest with us the whole time, it might not feel the same.
I think a lot of it too is that the movie's basically, I mean, we've said a lot of stuff, but we haven't really said it's kind of this is her ideal road to happiness.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not so much about that she's a Survivor fan or anything. Like she found happiness and she's willing to do anything for that. She's not necessarily bloodthirsty. None of this is about her being bloodthirsty.
No,
right?
No,
it's about her wanting her dream scenario.
Yeah.
And she had it. And that's why she was willing to lie. Yeah.
Jamie, I mean, do you think this works, Jamie?
Yes. I mean, I do. And I don't, it's hard to say like when to do it, when not to do it. It's just that it's kind of the only way to do it. I think it has something to do with the fact that it's almost a two-hander, you know? So
yes, that's true.
So we're flipping back and forth between POVs to an extent.
Yeah. That's true.
And in order to do that, you have to withhold other POVs to an extent.
That only works if there's some disconnection from what she's doing. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Also, this is like a reveal, but it's not the biggest reveal, in my opinion, because we already saw the boat. We already saw the boat.
It fits, right. And she set up like she was doing something. There was hints that she was up to something when she keeps pointing, and they even do a reminder to the poison vine area. Don't go over there. You know, like
I actually assumed there was a whole resort on the other side of the island. That's what my assumption was.
Yeah, so they kind of were playing with your expectations.
I thought they were going to show up and be on that island from M. Night's The Village.
Wouldn't it have been great if they were on Survivor this whole time?
Imagine if the twist was you were in a M. Night movie. That would be
that's the twist.
That's like so meta.
But anyway, yeah, I thought this was another example of like just thinking about that whole concept of the audience contract. Yeah,
it's a weird thing for a lot of people to grasp too. I think you know it's an odd concept.
Well, where it came from is I've complained to Bob off mic so many times if I read the script, and I've talked about it I think on the show enough too, where I read the script. And the entire time, the character is seeking they have an agenda, they have a goal, they have a clear everything, but we don't know what that is. Like, remember, I give the example of the Olympic script where there was like a guy who was like working out and training like Rocky style, and he was just like really passionate about his fitness and his health and everything. And it turned out that like in the end, it turned out that he was training for the Olympics, but you never knew that he was an Olympian the entire time. So it's like, and then I asked the writer, like, why'd you do that? And he's like, I want that to be the big twist. And it's like your character's agenda in an arc plot story. That's not what the audience wants. They want to know what the hell your character wants and why, and what they're trying to overcome to get it. Like, some people just misunderstand what a twist is and how a twist works emotionally. So you have to kind of like explain it to them.
A couple things about that, like in my book, in my Save the Cat Writes Horror book, I write that the big twist is a common toolbox thing for horror movies in particular. There's not all, but many of them have a big twist. Like maybe, I don't know if it's 50%, 40%, something like that. I think the ones you're talking about, Jimmy, the ones that you're getting in your scripts, because I came up in this era and I was kind of in that mode a little bit. They came from like the late 90s. And in some ways, like the M. Night style twist, the Fight Club style twist.
Yes.
And what they don't realize is the POV characters aren't aware of the twists in those movies.
Right, exactly.
A Beautiful Mind, for example. Crying Game, things like that. The POV characters, they don't already know.
They don't.
But I don't know. I feel like there was, Kaiser Sose kind of stuff. I think a lot of times when I used to do those, and I don't see those as much as you do, and you seem to get those all the time. I don't get those as often.
Well, I the way that I communicate the craft, both like on this show and just in general to people I know, I tend to attract people who this is like their first script or their second script. And so like they're still learning how to tell a story. Yes. And a lot of people, these things that we talk about all the time on the show, they're not intuitive. So people don't understand what stakes are. They don't even understand what a goal is. They don't understand what a twist is.
It's kind of a misread. Like when I get first time writers or people that are relatively new, it's kind of a misread of what the primary engine storytelling is, which is I'm writing shotgun on this person in this scene's emotions.
Yes.
Right.
So therefore, if I don't understand what they understand, it's not working. Like it's probably not working.
So for instance, the pregnancy test, Jamie, the reason I use that is because that's what I see all the time is the opposite of that. And that's what I have to teach people. Right. I see a movie where a character finds out they're pregnant in scene 1, and we don't know that they found out they're pregnant for the entire movie. Right. So everything that's happening, we can't connect with the character's main tension. Or maybe they're excited about it, right? Maybe they're like stoked over the moon, but that first scene, you never knew why they're stoked. Yes. So like, or what they're working towards with their partner and stuff. So it's like, I have to teach people that very thing that you just said, like, because I don't know, I'm not aligned with the character. I cannot feel the emotions that the scene is supposed to be making me feel.
What's interesting is like, I see these kind of things in different versions. Like I'll see it in like, let's say that pregnancy test or something. And then it goes off to a scene with 3 circus clowns for 40 minutes. And it's like, wait, I'm supposed to be aligned with the pregnancy test.
I call that spider webbing. Yes.
Yeah.
Spider webs off onto a new web.
I see that, that's like the,
what you don't understand is the clowns got her pregnant.
And that would be a cool idea,
Anyway, this movie is a great example of like how to wield that well and when it's right to do it, and why.
I know, Jamie, you didn't have anyone in your audience, but Jimmy, in mine, there was actually like a few gasps when they showed the house.
I did. Let me ask you guys. Did you kind of guess it already? Like,
well, I mean, I thought there was a resort on the island. Right. I legitimately thought that was going to be the twist.
You were waiting for the big.
I did not guess it, guys. I was.
Oh, really?
I thought what I thought was gonna I mean, we never do these theories things in our
well,
shows.
Well,
This is a really
we have no
funny
more
show.
talking points. Go ahead.
I wanted to share mine too. Maybe yours is the same.
Okay,
as
so
mine.
what
Yeah.
because they kept setting up the poison vines area,
Yes.
and they kept reminding. There was
The
a
not
reminder,
so
like,
secret weapon. I
yeah.
kept thinking.
So
was
I
like,
kept
that's gonna be it.
thinking that was a setup for him to
Yes.
use it against her.
Yes.
And so I was like, there's gonna come a time where he like draws her to those poison vines, and it's all over
Oh,
for
you
her.
believed the vines.
I believed the lie. And so I didn't know that all of that was a setup for something else.
I did.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was pretty sure they were going to have, it was going to be a resort or something like that. I thought resort too. I thought it's whatever was big and large and crazy. You know what I mean? Like there was, I was expecting something huge, like to be there, like right on the other corner, like salvation was right there. Civilization was right there the whole time. But I started to debate when they were running through the woods. I started to say, well, maybe the poison vine thing will be real and there'll be some kind of action sequence. Cause she said they'll rip your skin apart. And I was thinking Raimi. I was like, maybe they'll be in this weird chase where their skin's getting ripped off, like in the vines and the razor vines or something. So my head, I started to doubt myself for a second. I was like, and then I was even thinking, this could be the not so secret weapon is the, maybe she lures him in there to finish him off or something like that.
So it was like basically like a location red herring.
It was a red herring, yeah.
I was expecting like him to eventually, not listen to her, go to the vines, and then it's like a sandals resort.
Right.
He offers, he's walking around with his jaw
that's
dropped.
Kind of where I
Him a
was.
drink and stuff.
That's kind of where I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of where I was with it.
Obviously, they found a happy medium, so it's not ridiculous. Where it's just like a house.
Well, no, you know what it is? They found a premise-specific choice, which is it's a rich dude who probably is exactly like Bradley. His place. He has so much money, he doesn't even miss it.
And in order to land the epilogue, which I think I heard them say they came up with like in the very beginning, like that was in the pitch.
That's great.
Yeah. It couldn't be a resort, because they couldn't get away with that. It would be harder for her to end up on a golf course and him dead. And, it'd be just harder to do.
Also, it's just like, I don't know. The ending of this movie is one of the reasons why I understand the pitch is misery because of the meat of the movie, but the ending is so not misery.
No.
It's just so not. It's like the opposite of fucking misery.
You know what it felt like to me? It was like, what is the Robert Zemeckis with Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep? Shame.
Death Becomes Her?
It felt like Death Becomes Her if they walked away from that with like their paint is beautiful and not ever going to chip away, and they got what they were trying. They
got what they were going after.
It was like the opposite outcome, but the same character emotion. Like if they had succeeded, yeah. I kept being like, "This is a Tales from the Crypt episode, man."
It's an interesting movie. I mean, any crap I've seen thrown at this movie has been like, it's fine. I'm not negating opinions, but I've seen people say the fact that she went too far and then they couldn't relate to her anymore. And I was like, you're watching the movie we talked about earlier that was kind of the one note obvious movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's just like the kind of confirming movie of just the office politics, which I think is there.
Yeah.
I think that's there, but then we slowly move away from it. It's like,
yeah, we do.
We get it and then we move away from it.
I think it earns it big time. So
yeah. And it's not a movie that's you're trying to be like, it's morally complicated.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not supposed to be simple.
That's the point.
Right. She is not virtuous. But she was an underdog, Yeah. Did you guys have anything else? Anything?
No. I mean, I have things to plug for the show.
Oh yeah.
We're gearing up toward a questions episode, and so I am fielding all the questions. I feel bad. We got a couple from the last episode, and I haven't had time to get back to them. But if you have questions that you want us to answer about the craft, or like Bob said, what do you want them to send us, Bob?
I just know anything. Questions
about anything in life.
Well, preferably movies, but like I don't know, just like What are
Yeah.
your top 5 favorite? I don't know,
Yeah, so we
like
had a lot
Rick
of fun when
Moranis
we did.
movies or something.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
no clue. Yeah,
oh, that's a great one.
right.
Jamie's gonna start listing them now.
Yeah, Jamie loves lists.
I'll do it.
So we had a lot of fun. We did that last July, and we're gearing up for another one. So send us all your questions to writersblockbusterspodcast@gmail.com.
Also, writersblockbusters@gmail.com, right?
Writersblockbusters podcast.
Podcast@gmail.com. Do not email any other email that you find that has the show's name in it or anything, please. I get as I've shown these guys off mic, I get so many emails from people that somehow found the YouTube sign up email. I don't know how. It's not public. I don't know what happened, but please don't email that. Email the one Jimmy just said. Writersblockbusters podcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
All right. Jamie, you got anything you want to plug?
If you like this podcast, or I would say write a review. Please write reviews. We love the reviews; they're a big help. On the last podcast, I plugged my novels. You can always buy a novel that I wrote. Just go on Amazon, find a novel. Even if you don't want to read it, just buy it. Give it to your enemy. Just go buy it. I think since I did that, I sold 11 books. I'd say that's like probably about 5 more than I'd normally sell. Maybe it's hard to say. But I sold 11, which only makes me a grand total of $6. So there you go. I made $6. I'd like to make another $6. So go buy The Haunted Girl or Nomad, which are my 2 kind of more adult horror titles. I also have some books for kids, like The 44 Rules of Amateur Sleuthing and Monster Stompers. So go pick them up. I'd love it if you do. I love selling 11 copies of my novels. I'd like to sell 20.
If you want Jamie to make a lot more money, he's also selling issue number 1 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think.
2.
Issue number 2.
It's number 2.
Number 2. You could sell that for way more than $6.
It's in your garage still after all this time.
It's still there. I also have the large size Raphael one shot that's worth a lot of money, and I have the Secret. I have Secret Wars as well.
That.
I have the
Secret Wars is going to be worth more money soon, right?
I have the Secret Wars number 1 and the Secret Wars where Spidey got his black costume. So
that's what it's all about. It's like, it's not about podcasting. It's about like a audio Facebook marketplace. Right?
No, you know what? I just remembered. I'll plug one more thing on that note of just like selling our shit, buy our shit. Since it's coming up, I did make a slasher movie called President's Day. Since it's in a couple, I mean, this might come out like right then. It's a high school slash. It's basically a slasher version of the movie Election. It's about a high school student council election and all the candidates. It's at a fictional Lincoln high school, and all the candidates are getting murdered by a killer dressed up like Abe Lincoln. So the Blu-ray, it's only available on Blu-ray right now, and the Blu-ray is at TerraVision. So check that out. It's a fun movie that I made like 15 years ago.
You can also, I have this tab still open. You can rent Seventh Moon on Prime, Apple TV, and Fandango. So you can watch Jamie and the only guest of the show, Eduardo Sanchez.
I thought you were going to throw out something surprising. Like Jamie's always like, oh yeah, I got 4 movies on Hulu. Who cares?
No, I don't have anything. I like,
no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
I thought you were going to say it was on Hulu.
Well, it says that it's on Apple TV. Isn't that good?
No, I'm just joking.
Oh,
that's awesome.
I don't know what the standard is. Is it like shocking anymore to have your movie on one of these things anymore? Is it like
no?
Not really.
I think most of them just like movies. At least my movies, they just go to Tubi, and that's where they
just go to Tubi, whatever.
90% of the
I've
time
got a movie on Tubi. You can everyone can have a movie on Tubi.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind of more rare that things go to Netflix and Hulu. Like all my movies used to be on Netflix and Hulu. Like it was common that they were on Netflix and stuff. it's very rare
Hulu's
now.
Disney basically, so that's a hard
Yeah.
wall to pass through.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
even Netflix, like nothing. These kind of movies don't really go to Netflix anymore as much. You know, they're just
They got their own money.
they got their
Well,
own stuff. Yeah.
You can buy Jamie's movie for $3.99. You can own it
There you go.
Wow.
in your
Well,
library for $3.99.
I might get a check for that for less than a penny.
Yeah. Once again, you'd make more by selling your Ninja Turtles comic.
Yeah. Between that and my novels, I can almost afford fast food.
Right.
I mean, that might be an instructive note to end the show on. That like you're gonna make more in residuals. You're gonna make
more of
selling
Facebook
the
Marketplace
comic than you will.
I'm
in
gonna make more of
residuals.
my OnlyFans page for sure.
Probably. Yeah. Subscribe to Jamie's OnlyFans page.
Where I teach writing lessons.
It's only $3.99. It's the same price.
Yeah,
Jamie
that's right.
juggles for.
No,
Jamie with the
Jamie, it should be
OnlyFans.
a live feed of Jamie just writing. It's like you just at your computer writing. It's just a live.
Yeah.
I've theorized that with writers before, and I do think somebody would check it out.
You wouldn't. It's nothing.
I honestly think if I just sat a live camera like in the corner and every now and then I was typing, like Stephen J. Cannell back in the film in the end when he used to throw the paper in the air. Well, that was him? Yeah, I think it was.
It'd be funny if you ended up making so much more money doing that and you just stopped writing, but you just every day you go down there and you just type on the keyboard doing nothing.
Right.
Because you're generating way
awesome.
more revenue.
I'd watch Jamie type for sure.
I'd watch about 5 minutes of it.
I thought about just setting a camera up to watch me eat lunch every day. Like I just eat lunch and then I'd leave.
People go viral for dumber things. you know?
Absolutely.
So,
They do.
all right. Well, that's enough of us just bullshitting around.
for
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, this is Bob Rose, and thank you for listening to Writers Blockbusters. If you'd like to financially support the show, please consider joining my Patreon. I've been producing the podcast for several years completely out of pocket, and I'd like to keep producing it ad-free and no longer at a loss. If you'd like to help, head on over to patreon.com/Bob Rose Sucks. That's right, Bob Rose Sucks. And if you want the one and only Jimmy George to help polish up that writing project you're kind of struggling with, head on over to scriptbutcher.com. As a listener, you already know he's the best there is, scriptbutcher.com. You can also support the show by simply sharing it or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate both. Thank you for listening and see you next episode.